Hey guys, Jim Zerbex here. In today's video, um, we're exploring an abandoned sawmill. Now I'm doing a voiceover because I watched this back and I realized I didn't really talk much in it. And the reason is that the factory is currently, half of the factory is currently used by a business. The whole time I was exploring it, I could hear like forklifts driving around and wood being sawed. So yeah, I really needed to be in stealth mode for this explore. So I'll tell you a bit of history and interject when I need to. So this area is filled with forests while driving in. And it was pretty much almost like a wall of forests on both sides, as far as the eye could see. And it's known as the Green Triangle in South Australia. And this specific timber mill was opened in the early 1930s, and as a result, this entire town was built around it for the workers to live. And this town's like still to this day got shops, schools, like everything. And it was pretty much completely built with timber sourced by the forests in the area and processed in this mill.
May I take your order, please? One smug order. Burger, hold the juices. Pantera, cowboys from hell. Great out.
So many employees were brought from Scandinavia because they had similar mills over there in the 1930s at that time. And everybody they brought from over there knew how to operate the machinery. And like as a result of this, the timber mill was extremely successful, and it produced like something like hundreds and thousands of meters of timber every year. So timber mills became more and more common in the area, and at that point the logging industry just absolutely exploded. So the wind was blowing like pretty loud and hard that day. The sound of the corrugated iron smashing around in the wind, it was really putting me on edge.
This is where the conveyor belt starts. Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
So this little trolley was on tracks, and it looks like the logs were loaded in from the conveyor belts, and then they were pushed on this trolley into the gang saw, which is this massive thing over here. And the way a gang saw worked was to pull logs across the blades and cut them like an entire section into multiple pieces in one pass. So like if you see 2x4s and stuff, they're usually cut in a gang saw. And yeah, I found a picture of one in this mill from the 1930s. It looks really old, but yeah, it makes me think that this one isn't the oldest one in the factory. Probably like maybe 60s or something. Yeah. Unfortunately, there were like several fires at this specific mill, causing the whole thing to pretty much be rebuilt several times throughout its lifespan. There were also bushfires in the area in the 40s that destroyed like heaps of the forests that they were logging. And to give an idea of how much of a setback this would have been, a pine tree takes about 20 years to fully grow. So yeah, that would have been a big blow on their business. Now this house, well, I think this is actually a little office. I mean, this probably would have been built completely out of wood from the mill. And it looks really old, like, it could have been from the 40s or 50s. Yeah, it looks like they were using this office probably up until the mill closed in the early 2000s. Because all the papers and stuff were pretty new. So this mill was sold in the 90s, and the town, which was originally owned by Forestry SA, and I think it was owned by Housing SA at some point. It was completely sold off to private buyers. So the mill was eventually closed, like I was saying, in the early 2000s, and that was a huge blow to this town. Pretty much everyone was left unemployed, except for maybe the local shopkeepers and stuff. But yeah, I was surprised there was actually a fair few houses in this little town. So unfortunately, this part of the mill, this whole building over here, was completely sealed up. The current owner was storing like cattle moving trucks and stuff inside it. Yeah, so unfortunately I didn't end up getting into this one. You can see there's some graffiti, I guess. This was where the, I don't know, local kids came to graph up the place. Sure, I would have explored it if I lived here. Oh man. I don't know what this creepy area is, but after I went in there, you know, my bag and my pockets were completely full of rust. I wish I got a photo of these fans, because there's a page, well, a hub on Instagram called Urbex OnlyFans, and I just post Urbex pictures with fans, so yeah. Oh yeah, and apparently some of these cars are really good. Like there's a Mighty Boy, I don't know, something people like to drift. Oh, and you're probably wondering, Jim, why didn't you go inside one of those massive conveyor belts? Well, I normally would have, and it was really fucking tempting to me, I'll tell you that much. But in this situation, I was in a country town in the middle of nowhere by myself with no phone reception, and if the floor had collapsed and I'd fallen like 10 meters down, I would have been screwed. So I think like most of the machinery for the mill would have been on the upper floor, but it's pretty much all been dismantled and taken out. So like, you know, the main conveyors and switchboards and stuff are all down here in the ground level. Yeah, and you can see some conveyors where like the logs would have dropped down, and they would have been carried around the mill. Well again, thanks for watching guys. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, share this video with your friends. Anyone else who you think might like it. Cheers.